Welcome to First Steps in FastAPI. In this video, we are going to look at the FastAPI application instance, the one central object you create at the very start of any FastAPI project. By the end, you will know what it holds, how to configure it, and why nearly every other feature in the framework hangs off of it. Imagine building an API by wiring together individual functions and a bare HTTP server. You quickly run into a problem. Where do you register a new route? Where do you set the API version or attach a middleware that runs on every request? Without one authoritative object that owns all of that, every piece ends up in a different module or config file, and the framework has no way to coordinate them. Here is a way to picture it. Think of the FastAPI application instance as a restaurant's head office. Individual routes are like branches. Each one serves customers, but the head office holds the master menu, the operating rules, and the brand name. Nothing runs independently. Everything is registered with and coordinated by that single authority. Your FastAPI app object plays exactly that role. When you write app equals FastAPI, you are instantiating the class FastAPI, and the resulting object becomes the heart of your service. It stores the route table that maps URLs to your functions. It carries metadata that FastAPI exposes in its automatic documentation, and it is the object you hand to an ASGI server such as Uvicorn when you deploy. Every decorator, every middleware call, every event hook, all of them target this one instance. Let us walk through this line by line. First, we import the FastAPI class from the FastAPI package. Then we call FastAPI with three keyword arguments, title, version, and description, and assign the result to app. FastAPI reads those arguments and uses them to populate the automatic interactive documentation at /docs. Next, at app.getOff/ is a decorator. It tells the app instance to listen for GET requests at the root path and call the root function below it. The second decorator, at app.getOff/books/book_id, registers another root. Notice that both decorators reference the same app object. That is how the single instance accumulates the full route table for your service. When Uvicorn gets an incoming HTTP request, it calls the app object directly, because FastAPI implements the ASGI interface, which means it is just a callable that accepts a connection. The app looks up the path, an HTTP method in its route table, resolves any declared dependencies, runs your function, and then serializes the return value into a JSON response. As a bonus, because the app already holds your title, version, and all registered routes, it can generate a complete OpenAPI schema automatically, no extra code required. Configuring the app instance is the right move when you want something to apply globally: metadata for documentation, middleware for authentication or logging, or lifecycle hooks for connecting to a database on startup. What you should avoid is treating the instance as a general-purpose global variable. Storing per-request data on the app object is a concurrency bug waiting to happen, and creating several app instances in one process without a deliberate reason adds confusion without any benefit. Let us recap. The FastAPI application instance is the foundation of every FastAPI project, one object that owns the route table, the configuration, and the lifecycle of your service. You configure it once at startup with metadata like title and version, and then everything else, routes, middleware, dependencies, registers itself against that same instance. Understanding this object makes every other FastAPI concept easier to place, because they all connect back here.